Decades outdoor sirens have warned people in parts of Ogle County about emergencies and severe weather. Now leaders say the system could change in the future as alert technology evolves. Now WIFR's Miriam Niesmeyer talks with residents and leaders in Ogle County about that future transition.
The City of Oregon and Ogle County leaders met this past week to discuss the future of emergency alert sirens tied to the Byron nuclear plant. I spoke with Oregon leaders and residents about what the change could mean for the community. That sound has been a part of life in Ogle, Lee, and Winnebago counties for decades.
We've always heard it. It'd be weird just to not ever hear it again and then just have to rely on our phones.
Ogle County leaders met in February to discuss and prepare for the future deactivation of emergency alert sirens used for emergencies like severe weather through Constellation Energy.
We were informed by Constellation Energy that they were going to cease using the sirens in 2026 and move to a new system that works off the smartphone.
Residents would get emergency notifications through the integrated public alert and warning system. And while the new system could help reach people indoors, some residents say the outdoor sirens are still an important warning during severe weather.
Not everybody has a phone, not everybody has good service, not everybody always has their phones on. It could be dead, they might not have been able to pay the bill or something, so it's just not as reliable.
Oregon Mayor Ken Williams says the sirens were originally installed decades ago to warn communities near the nuclear plant on emergencies.
For our residents, it's really not a siren for the nuclear plant, it's a tornado siren. And we've looked at it as that since 1980 when they were put in, and there's 68 of them in the region.
In a statement to WIFR, Constellation Energy says Constellation is in the process of upgrading the public alert system around its clean energy centers from outdoor warning sirens to modern communication technologies to better protect the health and safety of the public. If approved, Constellation Energy plans to shift toward a cell phone-based alert using the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, or IPAWS. This would replace the 68 sirens across Ogle, Lee, and Winnebago counties.
Now the proposal needs approval from the state and the Federal Emergency Management Agency before any changes can be made.